Good evening. If you don't know who I am, you're probably not a very important guest. If you think I'm kidding about that, you're right, that was a joke. I'm actually thrilled to have each and every one of you here with us tonight, even if I don't like you. It's 2005. My 7th grade baseball team is down by 1 run in the bottom of the 9th inning. I'm up to bat with a runner on second base. Counts full, 2 balls. Actually, 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. If I get a base hit, we win the game and I'm the hero. If I strike out, we lose and it's all my fault. You know where this is going? All right. He doesn't know where it's going yet. The pitcher winds up and throws. In case you guys don't understand, this is the most pressure-packed situation, arguably, in all of sports. Pitcher winds up and throws. I judge the ball high and outside so I don't swing. I hear the ball hit the catcher's mitt with a thud. Clearly outside the strike zone. I exhale a big sigh of relief. But I can still hear the umpire's voice behind me. Strike 3, batter's out. The opposing team cheers. My jaw drops, shocked that the umpire could have called me out on such a poor pitch to end the game. The umpire was Joe. Joe won't admit it, but to this day, he still regrets that blown call. And that is why Joe asked me to be his best man. He won't admit that either. I'm only kidding. Joe asked me to be his best man because we are brothers and we're best friends. I grew up thinking Joe was a superhero. I basically looked up to him in every single situation my whole life. At the beach, I wonder if I'm gonna cry by the end of this thing. Joe already is. I know my dad's gonna cry. Sorry about making you cry in front of all these people, Dad. Mom, when you sense that I'm trying to be funny, please laugh excessively in case no one else does. Which so far they have been, so we have that covered. Anyway, at the mall or at the beach maybe, Joe taught me, I basically just learned by careful observation how to talk to pretty girls. I wondered if I would ever be as smooth as Joe is. 15 years later, I've come to realize I never will be as smooth as Joe is. He's pretty smooth. During the summers, Joe and I would go each day to the high school football field and train, and that is where Joe taught me how to be a hard worker and how to be a leader. In 7th grade, I got to ride to school with Joe every day in his little maroon Ford Ranger that would later become my own. And we would blast uncensored rap music every day at 7 a.m. so loud the speakers would rattle. And that is how Joe taught me every swear word. Sorry. Thanks, Joe. At some point later on, this is where it gets good. At some point later on, I got old enough to realize that Joe's ears are too big for him to be a superhero. And that his hyper-conservative food preferences actually make him a bit boring and uncool. Also, he is a huge Lady Gaga fan. And his favorite dog breed is the poodle. Which obviously has led me occasionally to question his sexuality. I went there. But just when I got old enough to start to think, hey, maybe Joe's not quite as cool as I thought he was as I was growing up, he went and got a whole lot cooler. He found Libby. I think we can all agree that Libby is about as beautiful as a bride can get. Right? Am I right? But even on her regular days, she's the type of girl that any man would be lucky to have. And that's simply because she's an amazing human being. When Joe picked me up at the airport on Wednesday, he looked at me in the car and said, I honestly don't know if I could survive without Libby. I wasn't sure how to respond, so I just sat there and sort of marveled at the strength of the bond that Libby and Joe share. We drove another mile or so in silence before Joe turned to me and said, I mean, what would I eat for dinner? Truly, though, that's a true story, right? I didn't make that up. Truly, though, I've only sensed a connection as strong as Joe and Libby's a handful of times in my life. One of them being the connection that I see every day between Joe and I's parents, who have been married happily for almost 30 years now. Yeah. Even though I'm 20 years old and superheroes are for little kids, and he likes Lady Gaga and poodles, I have to say that I still look up to Joe the same way I did when I was 5 years old. But now, instead of learning how to flirt with pretty girls or to be a good football player or use rap song terminology, I get to learn how to be a loving and responsible husband. It's the greatest honor of my life, being the best man for my childhood hero. I'm not gonna cry. Joe, I'll always be your best man, and Libby, I will always be your brother. I love you both.
For the last of our...
So how about that ride in, huh? I guess that's why they call it Sin City. Hi, I'm Zach Pelker, and every time I've ever spoken in public, that's how I've started my speech. This is the first time I've ever spoken in public with gelled hair or a glow stick necklace on, so people actually laughed at it, which is weird. When Joe and Libby asked me to speak at their wedding, I said yes, of course. And then I looked at the calendar and realized that their wedding was several months away. And I figured, well, I'll probably be dead by then. So I went to McDonald's and ordered several double cheeseburgers to try to make that happen. And then time kept ticking and I was still here. And I woke up on an Amtrak train on Thursday morning with a notebook page covered in drool stuck to my face without any words on it, and a tattooed ex-con sitting next to me, looking at me like I was the biggest piece of crap he's ever met. And I realized that I really had nothing going for me at this point. And then Thursday, when I still had nothing on that blank piece of paper, we were driving up to Joe's bachelor party. And I was in the passenger seat, and Joe was driving, and he turned to me and he said, "Did you always know that Libby and I were going to get married?" And after making some smart-ass response like, "I'm not a mind reader, Joe," I sat down and thought about it and realized that, no, I did not. When Libby first walked into my room, the room Joe and I shared at Sigma Chi, my first thought was, wow, why didn't I go to a state school? My second thought was, wow, Joe's way tanner than his girlfriend. I don't know if it was a lack of foresight or imagination or intuition, but I haven't known a lot of things in my life. I didn't know the first time I saw Joe in his cutoff t-shirt and his impeccably bronzed skin, staring in the Beloit College quad, that he would become one of the most important people in my life. I didn't know when Joe and myself and a bunch of these guys sitting at this table drove to Rockford, Illinois, and went to a Red Robin and sent a water to a 12-year-old girl in an attempt to impress her while she was dining with her parents, that Joe actually would get a real-life girl of his own one day. I didn't know when my freshman year of college roommate hung Buddhist prayer flags all over our dorm room, and I came home one night, feeling a little something, and ripped them all out of the ceiling and had to leave, that I would end up spending the rest of my time in college taking naps and watching Game Show Network and listening to terribly explicit rap songs with Joe Davis. And I didn't know when I first met Libby that she was someone who was so compassionate and sincere, and would let me speak at her wedding, which, let's face it, that's a pretty big gamble. I didn't know that this would happen, but I know right now that it's genuine and authentic and real, and we all do. And I think we're all really lucky to be here, because it's not often you're in the presence of true love. I like to think of myself as a man because I had a neck beard for a long time, and because I don't share my emotions very easily. But I love Joe and I love Libby as much as anyone I've ever met. Sorry, Mom and Dad, my parents are here. So, Joe Davis, I don't know if it was destiny. I don't know if it was fate. I don't know if it was just good old fall ass backwards, dumb luck. But what I do know is Joe and Libby are here now, and it's been an honor to be here with them. So I just like to say that Joe Davis, with apologies once again to everyone in this room, is my best friend. And now, Libby, you're officially my best friend too. So congratulations. So I know you guys are, you're probably tired of lifting your glass, and I'm about out myself, but if you could just raise your glass one more time to Joe and Libby. Good luck. I wish you all the luck in the world, knowing full well that you will never need it, because you have each other, and that's pretty awesome. So, here. I'd also like to say you guys have a 1-week honeymoon period before I move to Michigan and sleep on your couch forever. So, enjoy it. Thank you.